For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Former President Donald Trump turns himself into a New York court today where he'll be fingerprinted and charged with 34 business fraud crimes related to hush money payments made to an adult film star during his 2016 presidential campaign. Stormy Daniels alleged she had an extramarital affair with Trump in 2006. It's a historic case, the first time a former president faces criminal prosecution. Trump is expected to plead not guilty. The judge has ruled against allowing cameras in the courtroom. The former president is expected to speak after his arraignment and later today at Mar-a-Lago. His supporters are set to protest the charges against him. New York Mayor Eric Adams warned against violent behavior and singled out MAGA Republican Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said she will travel to rally in Trump's defense to New York.
While there may be some rabble-rousers thinking about coming to our city tomorrow, our message is clear and simple. Control yourselves. New York City is our home, not a playground for your misplaced anger. And although we have no specific threats, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is known to spread misinformation and hate speech, she stated she's coming to town. While you're in town, be on your best behavior.
Greene famously said in a speech last December if she had organized the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol, they would have won and protesters would have been armed. Trump has hired a top white-collar criminal defense lawyer and former federal prosecutor Todd Blanche as his lead counsel to handle the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal indictment. Finland has joined the NATO military alliance. The move deals a major blow to Russia, nearly doubling NATO's border with the country. Here's U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
I'm tempted to say this is maybe the one thing we can thank Mr. Putin for, because he, once again, here has precipitated something he claims to want to prevent by Russia's aggression.
NATO's head, Jens Stoltenberg.
This will make Finland safer and NATO stronger.
Finland's membership represents a major change in Europe's security landscape. The country adopted neutrality after its defeat by the Soviets in World War II, but it's changed course after Russia's war in Ukraine. A high-stakes election in Wisconsin as voters will choose a new state Supreme Court justice at the polls today, a pro-choice Democrat or pro-life Republican. The vote will decide the future of state policies. Edwin J. Vieira has more.
This election could change the court's ideological leaning for the first time in decades and could lead to policies that have benefited Republicans being overturned. The court is expected to hear cases challenging the state's pre-Civil War abortion ban and another challenging Republican-drawn redistricting maps. At $42 million, it's the most expensive race of its kind. I'm Edwin J. Vieira for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Chicago voters are choosing a new mayor to lead the heavily Democratic city today. The runoff election pits moderate Democrat, former Chicago school CEO Paul Vallas against progressive Democrat Brandon Johnson. Vallas is endorsed by Chicago's police union and major business groups. Johnson, a former teacher and union organizer, is backed by the Chicago Teachers Union. Both men finished ahead of current Mayor Lori Lightfoot in a February election, making her the first incumbent in 40 years to lose a re-election in the city. Florida's top Democrat was one of two lawmakers arrested last night protesting the state's 6-week abortion ban. The Republican-controlled legislature passed yesterday. Protesters were also arrested. They interrupted debate at the state capitol as well. Democratic leader Lauren Book spoke against the ban on the floor before she was arrested.
I have two constituents in my district who are living with the very real consequences of the bill that we passed not a year ago when we decided not to use real scientific information. In fact, when they lost their pregnancies and were past the 15 weeks, were forced to go home and develop sepsis before they could receive the appropriate care that they needed. When you are drafting policy that will affect millions of women across the state of Florida, it's important to use real scientific data.
Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to sign the ban. According to the Guttmacher Institute, Florida is one of 24 states that have banned abortion or are likely to do so after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last year. Chanting "Protect Kids, Not Guns," thousands of students in Nashville walked out of classes Monday, then marched to the State House, where they rallied to demand gun control, marking 1 week since a school shooting at the Covenant Christian School left 7 people dead, including 3 9-year-old children. Youth read the names of those killed and held a die-in in front of the state capitol.
Evelyn Dykehouse, 9. William Kinney, 9. Catherine Coots, 61. Mike Hill, 61. Hallie Scruggs, 9. Cynthia Park, 60.
At this moment, we want to take a moment of silence. If you feel so inclined, let's sit down and lay down to recognize all of the lives lost and symbolize the bodies that they step on every time that they ignore our voices.
The pressure has been mounting for greater gun control in the state since the shooting. Last week, people took over the state capitol in protest. Tennessee House Republicans are now trying to expel 3 Democratic lawmakers who joined protesters in demanding stricter gun laws after the mass shooting. Democrats Justin Jones, Gloria Johnson, and Justin Pearson. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.